Have you ever walked away from a chat feeling like, something was just off? Or maybe wish you could have handled the moment a bit differently?
Oh, definitely. It happens all the time, doesn't it?
It does. Well, today we're exploring communication, but maybe not the way you usually think about it. We're looking at how its real power often lies, well, beyond just the words themselves.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, our sources suggest that, real connection is more like a strategic partnership.
Yeah.
It's built on things we don't always notice, cues, listening, not just what you say out loud. So we want to unpack the actual mechanics of communicating effectively, turning it from just like swapping words into a real tool for connection, for your career, for a better life, really.
And it's all practical stuff, right? Things you can actually use.
Exactly. No dry theory here. Okay, let's get into it.
It's fascinating, really. Something we do every single day, a quick text, a big meeting, yet we often misunderstand its foundations. The material we looked at really shines a light on how crucial mastering this stuff actually is for everything.
So when you think communication, what pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably talking, right? Conversations, small talk, just, getting information across.
That's the default, isn't it?
But the sources we're drawing on argue that's a really narrow view, almost missing the point entirely. What's the sort of deeper layer they're pointing to?
Well, it's easy to just see it as transmitting data back and forth, but the sources reframe it. They talk about communication not just as talking or hearing, but as a deliberate act of building something.
Building something, like what?
Like connection, or trust, or shared understanding. You're literally constructing those things with every single interaction, big or small. It's a partnership.
Okay, so less about did they get my message and more like what did we just create together in that exchange?
Exactly that. And thinking that way fundamentally changes your intention, doesn't it? Before you even speak or reply, asking yourself, okay, what do I really want to achieve here? Especially if the answer is something like connection or maybe just genuine understanding. Well, that shifts your whole approach, your tone, your body language, everything.
That idea of connection feels really central. But I wonder, is that always the goal or even, appropriate? What about those quick, purely transactional things, ordering coffee, say? Do these ideas still apply?
That's a fair question. I think even in those quick exchanges, the principles hold up just maybe with a different focus. You're probably not aiming for deep emotional bonding when you're buying groceries.
Right, probably not.
But you are still aiming for clarity, right? Efficiency, a positive outcome, even a small one. Respect and clear understanding are always valuable, whether it's a coffee order or, a multi-million-dollar negotiation. It greases the wheels.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's shift to listening then. Because let's be honest, we all tend to think we're pretty good listeners.
We do.
But how often are we really just waiting for our turn to jump in, already thinking about our reply while the other person is still talking? The sources call this transactional listening.
Yeah, that term really captures it.
So how does real listening actually differ? And what's the consequence if we don't do it well?
It's such a common pitfall, isn't it? And the material breaks it down nicely. Transactional listening is fundamentally about what you need, what you want to say next.
Right.
True active listening, on the other hand, flips that entirely. It's about making the other person the absolute focus of your attention in that moment, being fully present.
Fully present.
Yeah. Not just hearing the words, but really trying to grasp the meaning behind them. And there are practical steps. First, you've got to consciously eliminate distractions, not just the obvious phone, but even like mentally drifting off.
The mental drift is hard.
It is. And second, embracing pauses. This is a big one.
Causes, yeah, you mentioned that. They feel awkward sometimes, don't they? Like dead air.
They can feel like that. But actually, they're creating space. Space for the other person to gather their thoughts, maybe say something more, and space for you to actually process what you've heard instead of just reacting. It's valuable space, not dead air.
Creating space, not a void. I like that. It feels like slowing down to actually connect better.
Exactly. And that slowing down, that processing space, is often where empathy comes in. One part of our source material really highlighted this. It's one thing to hear the words someone says. It's quite another to understand how they might be feeling as they say them. Are they frustrated, excited, maybe a bit anxious?
Right, picking up on the emotional undercurrent.
Yes, and not just picking up on it, but maybe reflecting it back subtly in your response. That shows you're not just hearing, you're understanding. That builds connection and trust incredibly quickly, far more than just repeating words back.
So it's kind of like reading between the lines then. Not just taking the words at face value, but looking for the unspoken context.
That's exactly it. The sources literally use that phrase, reading between the lines, because people often don't say precisely what they mean, or sometimes they aren't even fully aware of the deeper feeling they're expressing.
Interesting.
Their body language, the tone of their voice, even the things they don't say, the silences, these are all packed with information. Think about it. A colleague says, yeah, the project's fine, but they're avoiding eye contact, shifting around.
Yeah, you immediately sense something's off.
Exactly. Or a friend insists, no, really, I'm okay. But their voice is flat, their shoulders are slumped, the words say one thing, the rest says another. That gap tells a story.
And knowing the context helps interpret that gap, I guess. Like if they're stressed about something else.
Precisely. Knowing someone's under pressure at work or going through something personally helps you read those signals with more accuracy and, importantly, with more compassion. It's not just data, it's human context.
That whole reading between the lines thing is fascinating because it leads us right into that other conversation that's always happening, often way louder than our actual words, our bodies. They're constantly communicating, aren't they?
Constantly. It's like a parallel broadcast running 24/7. One really powerful idea from the source is that your body is always transmitting signals, even when you're silent. And here's the crucial part. People instinctively tend to trust those nonverbal cues more than the verbal ones. Why? Because they're perceived as harder to consciously control or fake.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
So if the words and body don't match.
Instant disconnect.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you say, I'm really interested in this, but you're slouching, looking away, maybe tapping your pen, that mismatch, it screams louder than your words. And it really erodes trust fast.
I've definitely felt that. Both ways, trying to seem engaged when I'm exhausted or watching someone else where their energy just feels wrong for what they're saying. It creates this weird tension.
It's a universal human experience. And just becoming more aware of this, both what your own body is saying and what you're picking up from others, can dramatically cut down on misinterpretations.
Okay, so let's break that down a bit. What are some specific nonverbal things we should be tuning into?
Great idea. Well, eye contact is a big one. Making appropriate eye contact usually signals presence, engagement, interest. Avoiding it can sometimes suggest discomfort, maybe disinterest, or even trying to hide something.
Right.
Then there's posture. Standing or sitting tall, open shoulders, it naturally tends to project confidence and openness. Slouching, hunching over can signal insecurity or withdrawal.
Makes sense. What about hands?
Hand gestures, yeah. They can be great for emphasizing points, showing enthusiasm, but, too much flapping around gets distracting. Too little, and you might seem stiff or reserved. Finding a natural balance is key.
Okay.
And facial expressions, obviously. A genuine smile conveys warmth. A furrowed brow shows confusion or concern. Ideally, your expression aligns with the emotion of what's being said, yours or theirs.
And tone of voice. That fits in here too.
Absolutely. Tone of voice, pitch, pace, even your breathing patterns. Think about it. A high-pitched, slightly shaky voice often signals nervousness, doesn't it? Whereas a calmer, lower, steady tone usually reads as more confident and composed.
It really does.
The real skill, the art, is getting all these things, your words, your tone, your eyes, your posture, to send a consistent, coherent message. That's when people really feel they can trust what you're communicating. Alignment is key.
Okay, so we've covered listening deeply and this whole world of nonverbal cues. If those are foundational, how do we make sure our actual words land effectively? Because sometimes I feel like maybe we use too many words.
That's such an astute point. It's a common trap. The sources really emphasize that impact often comes from clarity and precision, not sheer volume.
Less is more, sometimes.
Often, yes. When you overload someone with too much detail, too much rambling, you risk confusing them or they just tune out. It's about finding the core of your message and delivering that cleanly, stripping away the fluff.
Right, cutting through the noise to get to the point. How do we actually practice that? How do we get better at being concise?
Well, it often starts before you even open your mouth. First, try simplifying your thoughts internally. Pause for a second and ask, what is the absolute essential thing I need to convey here? Just that pause can help.
Okay, think first.
Second, avoid jargon or overly technical language, unless you're absolutely sure your audience understands it. Using complex words to impress often just creates distance. Aim to connect, not to show off how much you know.
Good reminder. Connect, don't impress.
Third, try to structure your thoughts logically. Even a simple beginning, middle, end structure can prevent you from going off on tangents and helps the listener follow along easily.
Makes sense.
And again, crucially, Use those pauses. They aren't just for listening. When you're speaking, a well-placed pause gives your listener a moment to absorb what you just said. It emphasizes key points. And it also makes you seem more composed and thoughtful.
That composure piece links directly to confidence, doesn't it? It's not about being the loudest person in the room.
Not at all. That's a common misconception. The material we looked at is clear. True speaking confidence isn't arrogance or aggression. It's about clarity, being composed, and feeling comfortable in your own voice. It's more of an internal state that shows externally.
So how do you cultivate that internal state?
Well, some practical things help. Maintaining that calm, steady tone we talked about. Using open, relaxed body language. Being well prepared definitely helps you feel more grounded.
Preparation helps, for sure.
And interestingly, the sources also mention that simply accepting you might make a small mistake or stumble over a word actually makes you seem more human and relatable, which can paradoxically boost your perceived confidence. It's not about perfection.
So letting go of needing to be perfect.
Exactly. Ultimately, it's about finding your authentic voice, trusting it, and allowing your message to come across assertively clear and direct, but without tipping into aggression.
Okay, this is all great for everyday communication. But life isn't always smooth sailing, is it? Sometimes conversations get tricky. Difficult talks with colleagues, disagreements with friends, family conflicts. It can feel like walking on eggshells.
High-stakes moments.
Yeah. How do we handle those inevitable tough conversations without them blowing up, causing drama, or even, wrecking a relationship?
That is definitely one of the toughest areas, but also potentially one of the most rewarding if you can navigate it well. The sources really frame handling difficult conversations effectively as a critical skill, one that can genuinely transform relationships.
So where do you start when things get heated?
It really starts with your mindset before and during the conversation, approaching it not as a battle to be won, but with genuine curiosity, trying to understand their perspective, showing empathy, being willing to listen even when it's hard rather than just digging into your own position.
Curiosity and empathy. When you're feeling attacked or misunderstood, that sounds really challenging.
It absolutely is. It takes practice for managing emotions right in that moment. First, become aware of your own physical reactions. Heart pounding, clenched jaw. Take a second. Maybe a slow, deep breath before you respond impulsively. Notice what your body language might be screaming too.
Right. Self-awareness first.
Crucially, keep trying to practice active listening, even especially when you strongly disagree. Keep reminding yourself, my goal here is to understand, not just to retaliate. And try empathy. Is it possible their reaction isn't really about this specific issue, or even about you? Could something else be going on for them?
That's a good check. And what if things just keep escalating anyway?
That's where taking a break is incredibly powerful, but often underused. Don't be afraid to say something like, look, I think things are getting a bit heated. Maybe we both need a few minutes to cool down. Can we pause and come back to this in, say, 15, 20 minutes?
The tactical pause.
Exactly. That space isn't avoidance. It's creating an opportunity for a more constructive discussion later, preventing things from being said that you can't take back.
That makes so much sense. It's pausing to actually solve the problem better, not run away from it.
Precisely. And for the structure of those tough talks themselves, clarify your positive intentions up front. I want us to figure this out. Avoid blame. Use I statements, I feel X when Y happens is so much more effective than you always do Z.
Yeah, the you always or you never is usually fighting words.
Totally. Stay focused on solutions, not just rehashing past grievances. What can we do differently moving forward? Look for common ground, possibilities for compromise, and fundamentally, no personal attacks. Keep the focus on the issue, not the person. These are like guardrails for the conversation.
Those are really solid strategies for when words are flying. But the sources also talked about something almost counterintuitive for those high-stakes moments.
Yeah.
The power of strategic silence. What is that exactly? How can not speaking actually change things?
Strategic silence. Yes. It's often overlooked, but it can be incredibly potent, especially when things feel confrontational. It's not the same as sulking or giving the silent treatment. It's an intentional, thoughtful pause.
Intentional how? What's it doing?
It serves a few purposes, actually. For you, the speaker, it gives you a crucial moment to regain composure, think clearly, and avoid blurting out something you'll regret later. It puts you back in control of your response.
Okay, self-regulation.
But it also has a fascinating effect on the other person. When someone is maybe escalating, expecting a defensive reaction or an argument back, and instead they meet silence, it can be quite disarming.
How so?
It often forces them to pause, too, to maybe reconsider their own approach, their own words. It subtly shifts the dynamic. Instead of just reacting to you, they might start reflecting on themselves. It interrupts the reactive cycle and can sometimes open up a space for, well, maybe not collaboration immediately, but at least de-escalation. It can turn down the heat.
Wow. So silence isn't emptiness, it's actually an active tool.
A very active, very strategic tool when used thoughtfully in those tense moments. It's about creating space for thought instead of just more conflict.
Wow, okay. We've really covered a lot of ground here, from fundamentally rethinking what communication even is, beyond just talking, to mastering that deep, active listening, understanding all the signals our bodies send, speaking with clarity and confidence, and then navigating those really challenging emotional conversations, even using silence strategically.
Yeah.
It really paints communication as a skill woven into every single part of life.
It truly is fundamental, isn't it?
Yeah, this whole exploration really drives home that effective communication isn't just about the words you choose. It's so much about how you connect, how genuinely you listen, how you respond with your whole self. And the sources consistently emphasize, look, getting better at this isn't instant. It's a gradual thing. It takes awareness, patience, and just practice day by day. But the encouraging part is, if you do put in that conscious effort, you really will start to see a difference in your interactions, your relationships, your overall impact.
Absolutely. Small changes add up.
So maybe as you go about your day-to-day, just start noticing, are you really listening in your next conversation or just waiting to talk? Are your words and your body language telling the same story? What's the deeper goal you want to achieve in that interaction? Just noticing is a great first step.
And building on that, perhaps remember that every single interaction, even the briefest one, is an opportunity. It's a chance to build a little bit of trust, deepen understanding, just a fraction, connect on a genuine human level. It's really about bringing your authentic self into these moments, letting your real intentions be felt through all these channels we've talked about, the listening, the words, the silence, the presence.
That's a powerful thought to end on.
So maybe something to ponder is this. What if the most impactful message you deliver today isn't actually through the words you speak, but through the quality of the connection you manage to create, even in a really small, seemingly insignificant exchange?
Something definitely worth thinking about. Thank you so much for joining us for this exploration. Until next time, keep those lines of communication open, keep them intentional, and keep them authentic.